Hi, my name is Stephanie Anderson, and I am a foodie for Jesus. So, as I am working on getting out of this food ditch that I'm in, what in the world am I doing? So, I thought I'd today spend a couple minutes sharing with you what it is that I'm doing. And when I talk about this food ditch is this spot that I've been in for a couple of months, and I want out of it. It's related to food, my relationship to food, body image, lack of self-discipline related to food, where I'm just facing that reality of that, where I've kind of been believing this lie in my mind of, oh, I've got it, I can control it, I can eat whatever I want to, that has led to just some very unhealthy behaviors, both for my body as well as just this focus in my mind, this idolatry of food. And so that's the ditch I want to get out of. And I don't know if any of you have ever been literally in a ditch on the side of a road. I grew up in Minnesota, and have had the joy of being in the ditch myself and having to get pulled out, also being the person pulling someone out. So I've been on both sides of it. And in this case, I am the one in the ditch, and it is the Lord with his big, massive, holy tow truck that I need to hook those chains with his help to my vehicle in the ditch and get pulled out because I cannot do it on my own. And that's what I'm really focusing on during this 40-day journey that lines up with Lent. So what am I doing? Right? When we think about Lent, we think about giving something up. So I'm definitely doing some of that. I think it's so important to emphasize the reason for doing that. It's that the reason is for closeness and intimacy with the Lord. And so the things I'm giving up, and I'll give you a little bit of a backstory on this, is I've been processing through whether or not I should do this for a while, whether or not I should be real and vulnerable and put this out on a video because I don't know how it's gonna play out. And I very possibly could trip up significantly, and I just want to be open about that. I want to be open about the good days, the bad days, the challenges, and I want God to have all of the glory. So when I was talking through this with, her name is Joanne, and she's a dear mentor to me and like my spiritual mama. She's just very well studied in the Word, just a godly woman, prayerful. We try to connect once a week and pray together and just share life together as well. And when I mentioned this, she said, "Stephanie, how are you going to have time to do this? Right? Busy life, mom, kids, lots of family activities, working full time." She's like, "How are you going to do this?" And one of the things I said is, you know what? I said, I'm going to give up Netflix or any streaming type entertainment that would fall under that category. I sometimes use time where I'm just like tired or just want to kind of mindlessly disconnect. I'll watch something. I'll put a program on. I don't feel like it's excessive, but it also can be a tendency to want to, you binge watch things the same way you binge food. That sometimes there can be those tendencies. So I'm like, I want to give that up. And I do feel like it's the middle of winter right now. It's kind of that time where there's a lot of time indoors, and there may be more of a tendency to be drawn towards towards watching things, right? There's not as much that weather outside that's calling you to get outside and go do something. More of, hey, let's stay inside. So I do feel like it is something that I'm giving up related to that, and it frees up the time. So the other things, sugar, flour, any foods that have been triggering to me, and really kind of that processed category, even if it's considered like a healthy food, but it's processed. Um, I would say 95% of those, unless it's something that I've truly been able to eat in the past. But I can't think of anything. The one thing that would come to mind that might fall under that category would be a pasta that is made from beans. I don't eat that very much as it is, but that's something that I would consider a processed food, yet it would be something that I could eat. So anyways, probably going down a bunny trail there, but not eating sugar, flour, the processed foods, things like popcorn, things like that have been triggering or that I've binged on in the past, being very careful with those. Not having any alcohol, and with my meals, so that's what I'm not eating. What I am eating is three solid meals that are ample. They're balanced. There's lots of vegetables, lots of good sources of protein. And in between meals, I'm not doing anything other than like this, like I said, it's winter, some warm, cozy beverages like tea. There are some similar to hot chocolate, but it doesn't have any of the triggering stuff in it. Um, and some protein type hot chocolate things that I'll have that's in between meals. Again, nothing that's triggering, um, but not the things that have a tendency to run to the pantry and get. So this has required more planning, the more meal preparation. So the night before, I've been writing down what I'm going to eat. So then during the day, it's easier. I've already made my decision. If it's something like today, one of the things I'm eating is I have these like freezer mugs of chili. That's what I'm going to have for lunch. I'm going to make a big salad and then have a piece of fruit with it. I took the mug out, put it on the counter. That's all I have to do then is heat it up, take out my salad, cut up my apple, and then we're ready to go. So making those decisions ahead of time, it doesn't allow that idolatry piece to slip in of food. Um, where I'm and also that impulse too, because I've already made the decision. So that's kind of like the food aspect of it. But like I've been emphasizing, the faith piece is what is the most important. So I'm putting the structure around the food and just leaning into the Lord. So what does that look like? I'm adding to habits that I already have in place. So morning devotion time, my husband and I do morning devotion time. I've been allowing additional time for more scripture reading and more prayer in the morning and really committing that. I've even been doing an exercise where I go through my calendar for my schedule for the day, and I really pray through each item on there. And also, I put in there where I'm going to, whether I need to step away and, have a prayer pause, a prayer or praise pause is what I call it. So sometimes it's like just stepping away, listening to a worship song, saying a prayer, just getting away from my desk as well, because I can have a tendency to be at my desk for just hours and hours on end. And there's value in every part of the day, whether it's food related or not, praying through that. I'm doing the chronological Bible in a year, so I have that daily and on a daily basis as well. And then I've been increasing, I have a Lent specific study and really focusing on just that relationship with Christ, because that's really when we think of Lent, is thinking and reflecting on that sacrifice that Christ made for us that we don't deserve. By his grace, that we are able to have eternity with him, and recognizing also in a healthy way, but like what a gift that is, because I am so unworthy. My sinful nature related to how I've used food as an idol and even body image and all of that that goes around with it, all those worldly influences, that's just one of my many sins. And that's where through this process, when the food is out of the way, I can see things more clearly. So I'm amping up the time both individually and with my kids and my husband. We're also doing a Lent specific kind of family devotion and activity and Bible reading that we've just started as well. So um, I do want to share one Bible verse too that I found to be very encouraging, but I also want to tell you that I think it's important with a Bible verse not to just kind of find one particular verse and say, okay, that's it, and not understand the message around it. So the Bible verse that I want to share with you is 2 Timothy 1:7. Now, the Bible was written to tell us about God. It is about Him. Everything points to Jesus. It is not for me, right? It is not, while there are things that I can apply from the Bible, it is not, when I read the Bible, I want to see Christ. So I want to mention this with this passage as well. It is directed towards people who were suffering significantly because of their faith. And it was meant to be an encouragement to them. So as I think of this in the context of my struggle with food, I just want to be very transparent. I do not want that to be at all minimizing the magnitude of that. And so everything in the Bible, and I found this too as I really pray into things, that my little mind, what I can grasp, God has just such bigger, broader, more powerful things than anything I could ever, ever imagine. So this scripture, as I think about it, about how it applies to me, it is just such a sliver of the power and magnitude of the entire story and the situation and the people that were being encouraged through this passage, through this letter. So 2 Timothy 1:7 reads, "For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." So I'll say that again. For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. So that's the ESV, the NIV actually, instead of self-control, they say self-discipline, which also I love. So it's just that reminder that whatever situation we're in, much broader than just this food ditch that I'm in, is that we are not to fear and that He gives us what we need, that power, that love, self-control, or that self-discipline. It absolutely applies to my food situation, but it is so much more than that, friends. Just please, please remember that. So that's, as I'm leaning into this, these are the things that he's also showing me, is it's like the food issue is almost a window into things that are so much bigger and how the Lord is using that. So with that, thank you for listening, and I look forward to next time, tomorrow, day 3. Bye-bye.